What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. Today's video, we are going to be ceramic coating my wife's 2019 Toyota Rav4. First time you guys are ever going to see her car on the channel. You guys are used to seeing either my boat or our 2020 Tundra Platinum, but we ceramic coated the Tundra a couple weeks ago. Did it on our own, the entire process. We did it here in the garage, and it just came out awesome. The paint looks phenomenal. It's just an absolute gorgeous finish to it with this ceramic coating on it, and the properties of ceramic are just it's great. Like the hydrophobic properties are awesome. Water literally just runs off the truck, which I'll show you guys. I'll give you a look at the truck real quick before we jump into the process of doing my wife's car. The point of this video, I'm going to throw a disclaimer out there right now. I am not a professional at this by any stretch of the imagination. When we did the truck a couple weeks ago, it was the very first time I've ever done a multi-step paint correction and polishing and ceramic coating. First time I've ever done it, and you guys will see for yourselves how it came out and the results that we got on the Tundra. So point of the video is to show you guys, if you guys want to do it and you don't want to pay an arm and a leg to have it professionally done, you can easily do it. It's time consuming, but you can do it for a fraction of the cost, and in my opinion, it is well worth the small investment to do it. Not only to protect the paint, but just like I said, water, dirt, it literally just falls off the truck, which I will show you. So all right, let me give you a look at the truck. I will put links to everything we used on the truck, and we'll be using the exact same stuff on the car as well, on my wife's car. So I'll put links to everything down below, so if you guys want to do this, I'll make it easy on you. Just click down below, get the stuff you need, and you guys can pull it off as well. So let me give you a look at the truck, and we'll get into the multi-step process of doing my wife's Rav4. All right guys, here's a look at the truck. I'm really hoping the camera picks this up, how smooth the paint looks. And it literally, I mean, the paint almost looks like a mirror. And of course, I'll give you a look at the hydrophobic properties on it as well. But I am super happy with how this truck came out. I'm not gonna lie to you, the truck, with it being so big, I put a total of, I would say, roughly 15 to 18 hours into it over a 2-day stretch to get this result, to get these results, I should say. But at the end of the day, it was well worth it. And again, I'm just hoping the video does it justice and picks it up. All right, so let me go back around the back. We'll give you a look at the tailgate. The tailgate is where I started, actually. It was the first panel that we did. And you can see, just so, that's the other thing too. Actually, my tailgate's open. Let me close that real quick. Just so you guys know, we did every panel on the truck, including the windows. You can use the ceramic coating that I'm going to show you. You can use it on the black trim and windows as well. So we did the entire truck. The only thing we didn't put a coating on, which I'm going to do, is the top of our PowerTrax 1 XR, the tonneau cover. All right, so that's how it came out. Hopefully it picks it up on camera. Let's get into the process. I'll show you exactly what we got to do. All right guys, let me give you a quick look at the hydrophobic properties of the coating. Just gonna show you the water literally, hopefully it's kind of turning out for you, but the water literally just runs off the truck. It's almost like you can dry the truck with the hose, which is pretty crazy. All right, so I just wanted to give you a quick look at that. I'll give you an up close look here. You can see, I mean, other than a few drops of water left behind, it's basically bone dry. So what I usually do after I wash the truck is I'll do that. I'll give it one final rinse with the water pressure a little bit lower. Pretty much almost dries itself, and then I'll take the leaf blower and just blow over the truck a couple times to get in the crevices and stuff, and you never have to towel dry the truck anymore. So that alleviates a lot of like the scratches. That's how a lot of scratches happen on paint jobs, is people don't dry them properly, or wash them properly for that matter. They don't use a soft enough towel or, you know, something like that. But as you can see, no more worrying about that. We can literally basically dry the truck with the hose and then finish it off with the leaf blower. All right, so let's get into the process. Quick look at everything we're going to use today to get the job done. And we'll go over each product when we're going through the steps of the actual process, but I just wanted to give you a quick look at what you're going to need. Some proper wash mitts, of course. These applicators we'll talk about more when we get to the ceramic coating. They are well worth the few dollars that you'll pay for them. I will put links to everything you're looking at down below the video, so if you want to do this, you can just go down, click on the links, buy the products, and get the job done. Exterior deep clean and prep or something similar to wash the vehicle. That makes sure you strip all of the, it obviously gets the paint clean, but it also strips any and all old waxes or sealants off of the vehicle. You want the paint down to just as pure as possible so the ceramic coating actually sticks and you get the durability out of it. Then you're going to need some kind of compound and polish. This is, again, Duracoatings that came with my kit. That's what I used on the truck, but of course, one of everybody's favorites. You could also use Meguiar's if you want. There's a number of brands out there, whichever one you're comfortable with. I'm just showing you what I did use. The Meguiar's I did not use on the truck, just so you know. I did use Duracoating step 1 and step 2. Iron X by CarPro. That's just a deep contaminant cleaner. I'll show you what we do with that. Clay bar and clay luber. That's one of the most important steps of this whole process, to get those fine. I was shocked when I did the truck at how much I got off of the paint that I couldn't even see with my eyes, but that came off on that clay bar. This is the polisher that we have. This is just an entry-level polisher, nothing crazy, nothing fancy, but as you saw, got the job done on the truck very easily. This actually came as part of the kit from Duracoating. Some foam pads that we got off Amazon. The DA polisher in the kit came with microfiber pads. I'm not gonna lie to you, I wasn't a fan of them. I don't know, if it's just a preference thing. I just couldn't get them to work as well as the foam pads. But just so you know, these foam pads are pretty cheap though, honestly. I got them off Amazon. Again, the link will be below. These bigger mitts come in handy for getting the ceramic coating off. I picked those up at my local Walmart. You need the clay bar back there as well. So that's everything basically that we're going to need to get this job done. So let's just start out with step 1, and we'll talk more about the process as we're going. All right, guys, first step, since my wife literally has not washed the car since the day we bought it over a year ago, I'm just going to wet it down, and then we're going to foam it up with the foam cannon I got off Amazon. Best $16 I ever spent. I'll put a link down below for you. Works like a charm. All we're doing is, it's about, I'd say 3/4 just hot to warm water, and then I put a little bit of Dawn dish soap in there. Don't have to worry about using Dawn for this. I know a lot of guys don't like to wash their cars with it because it can actually kind of counteract hydrophobic properties, but we're going to strip it off with that prep cleaner. So that's what we're going to be using. So again, I'm just going to go ahead and wet the vehicle down and then foam it up with the cannon. Best $16 I ever spent. All right, guys, so I'm just letting that foam kind of work its way in, sit there for 3, 4, 5 minutes, let it do its thing to kind of work out the dirt on the paint. Then we're just going to go ahead and rinse it off. The exterior deep clean and prep that we're going to use, you don't want to use that over a dirty surface because you're going to do one panel at a time with that. So if your car is dirty, it's best to clean it with some kind of soap before you jump into using that exterior deep clean and prep. Okay, once you have the car cleaned properly, I did use the two, I didn't show it on camera again just to try to keep the video as short as possible because this is kind of a relatively long process, but I foamed it down. I used the 2-bucket method to wash the vehicle. So now once the vehicle is clean, then you're going to go ahead and use the exterior deep clean and prep. So to use this, all you're going to do is, the surface is wet, we just rinsed it off, and it should be wet when you apply this. So just take a clean, a proper mitt, and you're just going to take some of this and you're going to do one panel at a time with the wet mitt. Just put a little bit on there and just work it into the surface. And again, just one panel at a time. They say not to do this in direct sunlight or on hot panels. Unfortunately, we are outside the garage here in the sun, but for the most part, it's about 70 degrees today, so it's not too hot. You just don't want this to dry on the vehicle. So just kind of work it in. And again, this is going to make sure it strips all of the old sealants and waxes off of the car. One panel at a time, just like that, nothing fancy. Just make sure the panel's wet and you apply it to a wet cloth. And it says let it sit on the panel for 30 seconds to 2 minutes, and then we're just gonna go ahead and rinse it off. We're gonna go around the car and do that for each and every panel. I'm gonna start at the top and work my way down. I just wanted to show you this panel real quick, just to show you what you have to do for that. So again, I'm gonna start at the top, do everything from the roof down, including the windows, headlights, taillights, mirrors, everything. So you want to do each panel with this exterior deep clean and prep. Okay, we went around the entire vehicle, panel by panel, with that exterior deep clean and prep. And the key with that is don't let it dry. Again, we're out here in the sun. Really, it's not ideal. You should try to do this in the shade if possible. But as long as you don't let it dry, you're going to be fine. I did the truck outside the garage as well. No issues at all. Just don't let it dry. Do one panel at a time. Okay, next step is this Iron-X, and again, this is just a deep contaminant cleaner. Very simple to apply. All you're going to do, again, I'm going to do one panel at a time with this as well. I may do 2 panels depending, because you do have to let this sit for 3 to 5 minutes to kind of work into the panel and loosen up all the contamination that you may not have gotten. So very simple. All you're going to do is spray it on and let it sit for 3 to 5 minutes. So while that's doing its thing, one thing I just wanted to mention, which I forgot, the exterior deep clean and prep. You'll notice I'm wearing gloves. Wear gloves when you're doing that. I did not do that for the truck at first, and I noticed I started getting some pretty bad irritation on my skin. It does say on the bottle to wear gloves with it. I didn't listen, but I learned the hard way. So I figured I'd just pass that on to you guys. So make sure you wear gloves for that exterior deep clean and prep. This Iron-X has a pretty strong smell to it as well. If you're outside like this, you should be fine, but just to give you a little bit of a heads up. So again, we're gonna let that sit 3 to 5 minutes, loosen up all the contaminants on the paint, and you can, at that point, you can work it in with the mitt if you wanted to. I'm just gonna let it work its magic, and then I just rinse it off. That's what I did on the truck, and it worked pretty good. So you'll actually see it turning like a reddish purple if you do have a lot of dirt or contaminants on the paint. If you're working on an older vehicle, you'll see it change in color as it's loosening up the dirt. So I'm gonna go ahead and do this around the entire truck, let it sit 3 to 5 minutes on each area that I spray, and then rinse it off. All right, guys, after the Iron-X, next step is clay barring. So again, one panel at a time. The key to clay barring is lubrication. You never want to rub the clay onto the paint where it's dry. And when you get the clay bar, it comes in a bar. It looks like a bar of soap almost. Just rip a chunk off and just kind of knead it and, you know, work it. It's relatively stiff, but not too bad. It's just like a thick putty. So just kind of work it into like a flat piece like this. Circle, square, whatever, as long as it's flat and nice and clean. One thing, which I almost just did, if you drop this on the ground, just get rid of it, because it is very sticky. And this step, take your time with the clay bar and really kind of do it good. I was shocked when I did my truck. My truck looked crisp. I mean, it looked clean as can be. And when I went around and clay barred, I was actually surprised at how much the clay will actually take off, especially if you've never done it before or if it's been a while since you've done it. So again, I recommend this clay luber by Chemical, guys. I got it off Amazon. Links will all be below. So I'm just gonna go ahead and make sure the clay itself is lubricated pretty good, and then just use this stuff liberally. Just kind of spray it on the area. And you'll feel, as you're taking the contaminants off the paint, it might feel a little bit sticky at first. But then as you're getting the contaminants off the paint, it'll start feeling really slick. And you'll be able to tell. Like this area right here that I just did already, I could tell it's literally like it feels like ice. The clay is just sliding over it with no problems. I don't feel anything. So you're just gonna work your way around the vehicle, one panel at a time. And after each panel or after each section that you do, just take a look at the clay bar, and I'll show you as soon as we're done with this panel here. Okay, so it didn't get too much off that panel, but it did get some. I don't know if it's going to show up. There was something on the paint there that didn't come off with all the soap, and that's what I mean. Very surprising at how much you'll get off with the clay. You would think after washing it, you know, the way we washed it with that prep and the Iron-X and everything, you would think the paint would be, you know, clean as can be and down to the paint, as pure as possible, but as you can tell, it's not. So once you do a panel, I like to just stop, rinse it off, and then the clay, you just kind of, once you get any like dirt or contaminants on the clay, you just want to fold it over and just kind of knead it until you get to a nice clean surface again. Once you can't find any more clean surfaces on the clay bar, just throw it away, get yourself, rip a new chunk off the bar, and just start over. All right, so we folded it over, kneaded it a little bit, and now you can see we have a nice clean surface to do the next panel. So let me go ahead and get this rinsed off. I'm just gonna work my way around the car, doing this panel by panel, and I'll pick back up with you. Guys, let me show you why you don't skip the clay bar step. Look at that clay bar. Now, you obviously saw we washed the entire car. It looked clean as can be, but look at what that clay bar just pulled off the front passenger side door on my wife's car. And that is only from, you can see where the trim is halfway down. That's only from the bottom half of the door. I started with a clean area there. You know, I was kneading it, had it nice and clean to do that bottom part. Now that is going to be one of your dirtiest parts because of the tires kicking up dirt and stuff. But again, as you saw, we washed the vehicle very well. It looked clean as can be, but yet the clay bar pulled all that off there. So that is the biggest key I can give you for the clay barring. Don't skip that step. If you do, and you go to polish the vehicle, or if you go to put that ceramic coating on, you're going to be polishing or ceramic coating over all of that junk that we just pulled off the vehicle with the clay bar. All right, so clay bar just about done. So let's get into the polishing. Okay, we are ready to start the polishing phase. Just want to show you a couple little spots. We'll see if we can get these out. We should be able to. Right there, she's got a pretty good, that's just in the clear. I can't even feel it, so that'll buff out with the step 1 and step 2. Another couple very light scratches there that I can't feel. Again, that we should be able to buff out relatively easily. So just looking around the car, for the most part, there's some light swirling. Again, step 1 and step 2 polish, or the Meguiar's, whatever you want to use, we'll definitely get those out. All right, so let's get to polishing. All right, guys, let's get into the polishing. So what I'm going to be using is, I do prefer the foam pads, as I mentioned earlier in the video, over the microfiber, just a personal preference. So depending on what pad you go with, what brand, just make sure you know what pad is harder than the rest. If you go with the pads that I'm using, the yellow pad is the hardest or the most cut. It's going to give you the most abrasive. It'll basically work the best on getting swirl marks and scratches out. I am going to start with that. It's attached to my dual action Porter cable that I got from Duracoating as part of my kit. So first thing I'm going to do is, I just put the pad on. It's nice and clean. I'm just going to lightly mist it with some, I just use some water. There is like a foam conditioning, I'm sorry, a pad conditioning spray that you can buy. I just use a little bit of water. So since this is the first time we're using this pad, I'm just going to go ahead and prime it. And by prime it, what I mean is, this is what I do. Just going to get enough on there and take my finger, make sure your gloves are clean. You don't want any dirt or anything on the pad, and you just kind of want to prime the pad. You want some of this polish covering the surface of the pad. All right, and there's plenty of videos. Again, guys, this is one thing I'm going to tell you. I am not a professional at this polishing by any stretch of the imagination. So this is how I did it on my truck. It worked perfectly for me. No issues at all. The paint came out like a mirror. But if you want to check out some other videos, be more than, you know, do some research on the actual polishing, because again, I don't claim to be a professional at the polishing whatsoever, even though it did come out really good on the truck. So once we have a nice coating, a nice light coating on the pad, now we're going to take the step 1. And this is where you're going to have to kind of experiment a little bit. And what I recommend doing, which I didn't do, I wish I did on the truck, get yourself like a test panel. If you have a local junkyard, sometimes you can go just get a panel for free. Experiment a little bit with how much compound you need on what pad. They're all kind of different. That's just something you have to get a feel for. I can't really, like, I can show you what I'm doing, but you can't really, you know, you may have a little bit of a different result with this. So once I have my 4 dots on there, what we're going to do is we're just going to kind of dab it. And like anything, you want to work in relatively small sections. I'm going to flip this cord over my shoulder so we don't hit the paint with it. I'm going to turn the Porter cable on 1, which is the slowest. Oops. Hang on. It helps if you actually turn the power on the extension cord. All right, so we're on the lowest setting. Put the pad on the car. Just kind of spread it around the area. Again, work in smaller sections. Once it's spread in, I'm going to take the polisher and put it up. This goes up to 6. I used it on 5 for the truck. Again, experiment a little bit with that. All right, so never start the polisher without it, excuse me, without it actually on the paint, or you're gonna start flinging product everywhere. So I'm on number 5. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna make passes up and down, then back and forth, and I'll do that twice on each section. And then again, keep the polisher in contact with the vehicle until it comes to a stop. That way you don't fling polish everywhere. All right, the other thing you want to do is, I'll show you real quick and then I got to wipe this polish off. See how I make a black Sharpie mark on the polishing on the backing plate there? That's going to help you determine whether or not you're at the right angle. That should always be spinning, just so you know, it should always be spinning. If you don't see those black marks spinning, that means the polisher is not acting as it should. And you're either at a wrong angle or you're pressing too hard or something's wrong. All right, so let me get a rag and we'll wipe this off here. Goes without saying, you always want to use a very clean and soft microfiber towel. And just wipe off all the residue. And man, that step 1 does a great job. I don't know if it comes out on camera or not, but it already, I mean, the paint was in pretty good shape to begin with. The car is only a year old, but man, it literally looks like a mirror. So I'm going to go around and do the entire car with this step 1 polish by doing exactly what I just showed you. The only thing I will tell you, you do want to use, what I did was I bought 4 sets of pads. I did a lot of research on this before I actually did this process on the truck. I think it depends on who you talk to, how often you should change your pads. What I did was I changed every other panel. I went to another clean pad. So I did buy 4 sets of these pads off Amazon. So I have 4 yellow, 4 orange, 4 black, blah, blah, blah. All right, so I'll do a couple panels with the pad, then I'll switch it out. And of course I clean them really well in between uses if I do have to circle back and use another pad again. All right, so just want to make sure I throw that out there as well. Use a different pad, switch them up every so often. All right, so I'm going to go ahead around and do this entire vehicle with the step 1 polish. But that's all there is to it. A little time consuming, very simple though. All right guys, just a quick look at where we are at. We went around and did the entire car with the step 1, and then we swapped over using the step 2. After we did the entire vehicle, 1 section at a time, with the step 1 and the yellow pads, we went over to the step 2 with the white pads. That's what I used for the step 2. Again, if you get the kit that I went with, you know, give this a shot because it works great. So we went around, did the entire car with the step 2. And as you can see, the paint is literally almost like a mirror. You can see here on the hood where those scratches were before, right in this area, they are totally gone. Paint looks perfect. The mark that was up here on the hood, that was a pretty good mark. It was somewhere in that area there. I don't even know where it was because it's gone. But the paint just looks awesome. All right, so that's what the step 1 and step 2 polishes will do for you. The rest of the car, basically, I mean, a couple marks here and there, but it was basically just light swirl marks. So I just wanted to give you a quick update, though, because we're running out of daylight here. So we did do the entire vehicle with the step 1 and then swapped over, did the entire vehicle with the step 2. I didn't show you the step 2 on camera just because it's literally the exact same process as the step 1, just work in small sections, swap out your pad, you know, every 2 or 3 panels or as needed, you know, as you feel needed. And then of course, one thing I didn't mention with the step 1, your microfiber towels, make sure you're swapping them out as well. Basically, whenever I change out the pad, I'll, or more often actually, I probably use more microfiber towels than pads. But just make sure you're keeping make sure everything is clean. Obviously, you want everything clean and fresh. And these are the results you'll get. All right, guys, so now that we did the step 1 and step 2, the only thing we have left to do now before we apply the ceramic is we do have to go around and wash the vehicle one more time with the exterior deep clean and prep. Same thing, I'm not even sure where I put the bottle. It's around here somewhere. It's getting late in the day. I've been at this for a few hours, but same process as before, just one panel at a time, clean it down with that exterior deep clean and prep. And again, as I mentioned before, what that does is it gets all of the polish residue, it gets anything and everything off the paint to take the paint down to its purest form. And you know, that way the ceramic coating will stick to it as best as possible. You'll get the durability out of it, and you know, the coating will last you a long time. All right, guys, so let me go ahead and do that. Again, I'm not going to show that on camera. Same exact process. I'm just going to get it cleaned with the exterior deep clean and prep. We'll pull it in the garage because we're running out of daylight, and then we'll get to the actual ceramic coating. All right, guys, it has been a long day, but we are finally at the final step, the actual coating itself. We did the 2-step polishes, as we mentioned, did the final wash with the exterior deep clean to prep the surface, make sure there's no kind of polish residue or anything left on the car. The paint is basically down to its purest form right now, ready to accept the the ceramic coating. Speaking of ceramic coating, what we're going to be using, the Diamond Coat Ceramic by Duracoating, that's what we used on the truck. We didn't have enough to do my wife's car with the diamond, but just so you know, if you are interested in that, I put 3 coats on my truck, and as you guys know, the Tundra is a very big vehicle, and I still have a small amount left. So if you guys do go with the diamond, the kit that I'm going to link below that comes with the Diamond Coat Ceramic, you'll have plenty. You can probably do 2 mid-size cars easily with if you're putting on 2 to 3 coats. You can probably get 2 cars out of the entire kit. All right, but on my wife's car, we're going to be using their Extreme Nano Coat Ceramic 9H. Does come with instruction manuals. Whatever ceramic you go with, whether it's Duracoating ceramic or not, make sure you check the instructions for the flash time or the cure time, whatever you want to call it. What that means is once you apply it, how long should you wait before taking it off? This Extreme Nano Coat by Duracoating, it tells me to wait 15 to 60 seconds depending on temperature. The hotter it is, the less time you want to let it sit on the vehicle. So the hotter it is, the faster you want to wipe it off. So between 15 to 60 seconds is what it says. Right now we're in my garage, which is 65 degrees. So I'll probably go mid-range. I'll let it sit there for 30 to 45 seconds. It should be slightly tacky when you're wiping it off, just so you know. If it's not tacky at all, you're wiping it off too quick. If it's too tacky, you're wiping it off, or you're letting it go too long. All right, it does tell me to apply this in circular motions. Depending on the ceramic, you might be told not to do circular motions. We're going to listen to Duracoating since this is what we're using, of course. So we're going to apply it in circular motions. Let it sit for 30 to 45 seconds, and then we'll wipe it off. So again, if you do go with Duracoating, it comes with the instructions. It'll tell you exactly what to do. Now, as far as what we're going to use to apply, I'm going to make your life a heck of a lot easier right now, and I'm going to save you some money with these applicators. I'm in a Facebook page online on Facebook, obviously, and somebody told me to grab these because they save you ceramic, and these pads make it so easy to apply the ceramic, and they do save you product because instead of just being a straight microfiber, where the ceramic can just kind of like absorb down into the applicator. There's like a middle layer in it that stops it from absorbing to a certain extent. So you will use less product by going and buying these applicator pads. So that's what we're going to be using. And plus they're small, as you can see. Here, I'll take one out of the package. And one thing, once you use one, throw it away, because if the ceramic dries on there and you go to reuse it on another vehicle, that's not good, obviously. So that's what they look like. You could use either side. I think I used the blue side on my truck. I don't think it matters though, obviously. There's a middle layer that stops the ceramic from being absorbed too much. All right, so link will be below. If you get anything I'm showing you, get these. They will make your life easy as far as applying the ceramic. And then, as I mentioned earlier, I got these bigger pads from my local Walmart. Came in a 2-pack, $6. Have a nice little spot on. It makes it easy to put on your hand. So we'll apply with this, wipe off with this, and I have 4 of these. So we'll change out obviously as we're going. All right, so let's get into it. Let me show you what we got to do to get this coating applied, and yeah, I can't wait to wrap this up. All right, guys. So if you do go with their Extreme Nano Ceramic 9H. Basically, the diamond coat that I used on the truck had a little sprayer. I would just spray 2 or 3 mists on the pad and then apply it. This comes with like a dropper type top. So I'm just going to put a couple drops on the pad. A little bit goes a long way, so you don't have to overdo it as far as how much you need on the pad. And then you're just going to, again, Duracoating says to do it in circular motions. So we're going to go ahead and do circular motions like this. Small sections at a time is the key. And these little pads, I'm telling you, these are worth the few bucks that you pay for these little application pads. All right, so you're just going to kind of work it into the surface. This is a smaller panel, so I'm going to go ahead and do this entire panel. And you can see, it's probably not showing on camera, but you can see where you have applied it. So just go ahead and cover the area that you're working on, whether it's an entire panel like I'm doing with this smaller panel, or if you're just doing an area, work it in. And again, we'll let it sit 30 to 45 seconds is what we're going to go with. I'm going to get this bigger pad that I got from Walmart. You want to wear gloves while you're doing this as well. You don't want to get that ceramic on your hands. All right, let's go ahead and wipe it off. And again, it's just slightly tacky, so that's going to be a pretty good amount of time to leave this sit on there. You don't want it to be too tacky, but that is slightly tacky as I'm wiping it off. So that's just about perfect, that 30 to 45 seconds for me. And again, depending on what the temperature is at your location will depend on how long you should let it sit, but you want it to be slightly tacky as you're wiping it off. All right, guys, so that's all there is to it. So I'm going to work my way around the vehicle, doing small areas by small areas. And I will be doing, I think I'm going to do at least 2 coats of this ceramic. I may put a third on depending on how I feel about it once I get the second coat on. But that's all there is to it. So I'm just going to go around, do panel by panel, that exact process. Not rocket science, very simple. And I'll show you guys the finished product once we get done. You can, just one thing real quick, you can apply Duracoating ceramic to these the black trim areas, the plastic areas, and the windows. I will be doing the windows, and I highly recommend you do that. I love having it on the windows because the water literally just falls off. So do the windows, do the plastic trim. I'm even going to do this area down here. I made sure that was nice and clean. So, all right, so I'm going to work my way around the vehicle, and we will pick up when we're all done. I'll show you the finished product. All right, guys, I am beat. It is 10 to 12. It's almost midnight, and we are just finishing up with the second coat. It looks awesome. I'm really hoping the GoPro picks this up for you. I'll put some pictures up on the screen as well, you know, just to kind of give you the best look I can at how this came out, but I am thrilled with it. We did 2 coats of this ceramic. Again, we did 3 on the truck, but it was a different ceramic. This ceramic that I got from my wife's car is it's rated to last a little bit longer, and I'll tell you, it definitely, the consistency of it, it was almost like syrupy, which you know, I would imagine is good. It's a little bit thicker, and it was a little bit different, you know, trying to apply it and take it off. So I kind of had to play with the flash time a little bit. Originally, I was going to do 30 to 45 seconds, but it ended up kind of curing a little bit too fast on me. It was getting really tacky, leaving it go that long. So I ended up kind of cutting it down to 30 seconds top, but I was more around like the 20 to 30 seconds. You know, I would apply it, wait 20 to 30 seconds, and then take it off. So, all right. I did go through a lot of applicators and a lot of microfiber towels. I went through more with this coating, again, just because it was thicker and more of like a syrupy consistency. We'll see how it lasts, you know, compared to the truck. We just did the truck two weeks ago. So, you know, we'll see what happens over the next few months. Yeah, so we'll see what goes on with the coatings, you know, kind of compare how the two stack up against each other. But this looks awesome. My truck looks awesome. A lot of work, guys. I'm not going to lie to you. Very time consuming, and I am hurting. My back is killing me. I'm ready to wrap this up. So I hope you guys found this helpful. I'm just trying to think if there's any tips. I could even write them down below the video if there's anything I think of that I did not cover as we were going through the video. Again, just when it comes to applying this ceramic, even play with applicators. I did use a lot of those applicators that I showed you. Those little square ones, you can see right there on my table. I was just throwing them out. I would do a panel and toss it, and do a panel and toss it. So, then I also kind of switched over to the applicator that actually came with that ceramic. It was like a suede cloth with a little application block. And I used that for the second coat. I found that to be a little bit easier to spread this one with the consistency of it. All right, so don't be afraid to play around. You know, there is no right or wrong with this. It's all kind of personal preference and whatever works best for you and the coating that you're using. So if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, leave them down below as always, and I will get back to you. I appreciate you watching. I know this video was a little bit lengthy, but as you can see, the process, time consuming, but when a car comes out like that, the paint is just unreal. The look to it, it just gives it such a thick, almost like a, I don't even know how to describe it. It's like a silky, smooth, thick looking paint after you put this ceramic on. And I showed you the hydrophobic properties. That's the one thing I will tell you, after you do this, you cannot get the car wet. Again, depending on the ceramic, for this coating, this ceramic coating is 36 to 48 hours. That's why we actually did this today. We have a couple nice days coming up, no chance of rain at all. It's actually going to be like 70. We're talking almost record highs here in Northeast PA. But anyway, once you do this, you cannot get the car wet for 36 to 48 hours. You can't wash it for 5 to 7 days. All right, the coating that I put on my truck was relatively the same. I think I couldn't get that one wet for 12 to 24. It was a little bit quicker of a cure time, I guess, if you want to call it that. So, all right, I'm gonna stop rambling on, guys. I gotta go in and shower and get into bed. I'm hurting. Thanks for watching. Questions, comments, concerns down below. We'll see you on the next video. Take care.